Rostov.
How magnificent. What a wonderful response to the Emperor's call.
They read the proclamation.
Not yet, but here's Rostopchin.
Gentlemen, nobles, and merchants of Moscow, may I have your attention? Our sovereign, the Tsar, is on his way here. I am straight from the palace. I have his proclamation to read for you. To Moscow, our chief capital. The enemy has entered the confines of Russia with immense forces. He comes to lay waste our beloved country. We shall strain every sinew and nerve to repel him. No peace will be made while a single enemy soldier remains on our soil. Our brave Russian army is ready to sacrifice itself utterly in defense of the fatherland. But it is to you, the nobility and merchants of our country, that I now turn for consultation and guidance, for money and for levies of troops. May the ruin and destruction which he would precipitate on us recoil on him, and may Europe, delivered from bondage, glorify the name of Russia! Pour forth your millions! Nobles, give us your serfs in their thousands! The enemy shall not pass! And now, your representatives here will draw up a resolution which all will sign and which we shall hand to the Tsar when he arrives. God save him! God save our glorious country!
God save the Tsar! God save the Tsar!
And I say no. We can show our loyalty to the Tsar in other ways. Have we forgotten the raising of the militia in the year 1807? All that did was enrich the priest's sons. Was the militia any use to the Empire? Of course it was. All it did was ruin the farms. The men returned neither soldiers nor peasants.
Well, I imagine, sir, we're not here for the purpose of discussing whether to levy the troops or to call out the militia.
Why not?
Why not?
Yes, why not?
Because we must leave it to the supreme authority of the Tsar to judge between conscription and the militia.
But the proclamation says specific... But I was speaking to you, sir.
I wasn't speaking to you, sir.
You were, sir, if I may say so, speaking to everyone. The proclamation specifically mentioned consultation and guidance.
Oh, rubbish.
It's in the proclamation!
Rubbish, I say it's rubbish. It's a mere form of words. What else?
Well, if you will stop saying rubbish every 5 seconds, I will tell you! I'm sure that the Tsar does not see in us merely the owners of peasants, and we are willing to provide as cannon fodder.
Cannon fodder? Ah, that's what it is, sir. I know your kind. Sort of liberal, aren't you?
Well, my beliefs are my own, but as the owner of several thousand peasants, I cannot see why I am entitled to ask the Tsar exactly our exact number of troops, the exact number of our armies, the position of our food.
Troublemaker,
Yes.
I don't believe it is impractical nonsense. How can we, as the owners of... All I'm saying is that we could make sacrifices to better purposes if we knew exactly what...
That's Petcho's voice. Right. What's he doing here?
Your Majesty, I have here the resolution agreed upon by the nobility and merchants of this city, of which I have the honor to be Governor General. It is addressed to you, sire. We, the nobility and merchants of Moscow, do hereby resolve to provide 10 in every 1,000 of our serfs and equip and maintain them as long as the war shall last. In addition, we hereby offer to give to the Treasury the sum of 40 million rubles to defray part of the cost of the war, which has already been incurred.
Gentlemen, I never doubted the devotion of the Russian people, but this day it has surpassed my expectation. I thank you in the name of the fatherland. Gentlemen, let us act. Time is more precious than anything.
You must let me go. If you don't, I'll leave home.
And maintain 1,000 men personally.
Bravo! Bravo!
letter from Prince Andrei today. Did you read it?
No, Father, you never showed it to
He
me.
talks about this war of his.
It must be very interesting.
People think they know everything because they're in it.
What else does he say, Father?
Yeah. You read it.
Dear Father, first please for...
Well, go on.
First, please forgive me for the things I allowed myself to say before I left home. I was very much on edge and deeply regret that we parted on bad terms.
You see, you made me quarrel with him. I hope you're satisfied.
It was as painful for me as it was for you, Father, to see both of you quarrel. I'm only happy that he writes to ask your forgiveness.
Well, go on.
I am writing these few lines very hurriedly from just outside Vitebsk, which we have abandoned to the enemy in accordance with the policy of what seems to be general withdrawal. The French are breaking through on all fronts, and you will see from the little map that I enclose that Bald Hills is very close to the theater of war and right on the line of the French advance. It seems to me extremely inadvisable for you all to remain where you are. I feel sure that it will not be long before the enemy is in Smolensk.
But, Father, isn't this serious?
Serious? That's alarmist nonsense.
But he talks of the theater of war moving so close.
The theater of war is in Poland. I've always said it and I say it now. The theater of war is in Poland. The French will never get beyond the river Nieman.
But Andrei talks of Vitebsk having fallen.
When the snows melt, the French will be swallowed up in the Polish swamp.
But, Father, there's no...
Silence! You're a stupid woman. How dare you instruct me in the arts of war? How dare you! How dare you! You're a bag of fools, all of you.
He talks of snow. Does he not know it's summer?
He's not well. We must do something.
But what can we do? I heard him send Alpatych to Smolensk this morning to find out what was happening.
Smolensk? But can Smolensk really fall to the enemy? I can't believe this is happening to us.
We should make preparations to move.
Leave this house?
But we'll be caught in the path of the war if we stay here.
But leave it empty? For strangers?
We must. There is little Nikolai to think of.
Yes, you're right. We must leave. We must go to Andrei's estate at Bogocharovo.
But what about the prince?
I must talk to him. If he refuses to go, then we must stay with him.
I have decided to stay here and defend Bald Hills against the French. You know, Andrei said in his letter that they were at Vitebsk. That's only 4 days' march from Smolensk.
Father, I've been thinking, for little Nikolai's sake, let us all move to Bogocharovo.
You will go. You will take Mademoiselle Bourrienne and little Nikolai and all the domestic staff. I will stay here.
But, Father, I can't go and leave you here.
Do you argue with me again? I told you I'm staying. I'm going to call out the militia from the village. We shall defend ourselves to the last.
Father, please.
Enough! How dare you contradict me? I'm sick to death of you. You oppose my every wish. You make me quarrel with your brother. I detest you, do you hear? Get out of my sight. Get.
Father, what is it? What is it? Tikhon! Send Tikhon for the doctor, quickly! Oh, for God's sake, hurry! Papa!
Cattle are hungry. Can you hear them? Everyone's gone. I haven't even cut the corn.
I know this place. My home is over there. The village is just up ahead. If it's abandoned, send someone back to set fire to the corn. I'll meet up with you later.
Right, sir.
Your Excellency! Thank God, Your Excellency! God be praised, you're well.
Is everyone gone?
Nearly everyone.
To Moscow?
To Bogucharovo. They took nearly everything. The grain and the hay. It was wonderful this year. You should have seen it. But it's all gone, all gone. The peasants are ruined. Troops have been here. They stripped the place too.
Is there nothing left?
About 600 quarters of oats. I hid them. Should I have let them go? The officers refused to give receipts.
I'll keep them for my own regiment.
The prince was ill when he left, Excellency. Very ill.
How ill?
A stroke. It looked bad.
Do they intend to go on to Moscow?
I think so, but who knows? Everywhere there is confusion.
Why didn't you go with them?
Oh, how could I leave here? Who would look after the property? God is my refuge. His will be done.
You can't stay here. Smolensk has fallen. The enemy will occupy this house. Follow my sister to Bogucharovo. Tell her you saw me. Tell them to try to get to the property near Moscow. I must stay with my regiment.
Who would have thought it? The French in Bald Hills. Where will we stop them, Excellency? Where?
I don't know, Tsigon. But we shall give battle soon, of that I'm sure. Now don't delay too long. The French shall be here in 2 days.
I think he wants you to go nearer.
What is it, Papa?
George. Soul.
My soul is troubled.
Oh, wait. Think
Thinking
about you. Called for you
last night. If only I'd known. I was awake all night. Oh, Papa. I was afraid to come in.
He's speaking.
looking a little better. Perhaps we should leave him now to rest.
No. He wants me to stay. Tikhon is here. He saw Andrei. He's with the army, not far away. Smolensk has fallen.
Yes. Russia is lost. They have destroyed her.
Oh.
Dearest. Sleep.
You will call me if he wakes. Whatever the time.
I brought you a little wine and cake.
My goodness, Tikhon.
How is he? One must not give up hope, Princess. Yakov Alpatych is outside.
What does he want? I can't see him now. Oh, well, tell him to come in.
Yakov Alpatych, the Princess will see you.
Thank you to you. Princess, forgive me, but we must make arrangements to leave.
How can I think of that now? I won't think of it.
But it's unsafe here. The French are advancing on all sides. Their leaflets are already circulating in the villages. 10 miles away, you can hear the guns.
How can I leave? You may die on the road.
Princess, what can you do? We must all die when our time comes. Thank God you sent away the child. But you are not safe here.
I don't care about myself.
I understand, Princess, but it's my duty to see that you get away from here. Apart from the French, the peasants are in a strange mood. We should leave now.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, they're not like the serfs on the old prince's estate. They're a different kind of people.
What are you saying?
They're surly. You'd think that freeing them, as Prince Andrei did, they'd be grateful, but they're not. They're sullen. I don't like it.
They wouldn't harm us. Don't be absurd.
Maybe not. But there are no police in the village, no law and order. Princess, please give the order to move.
He's gone, Princess. He's gone. His heart just stopped beating. He's gone. It's God's will. He's gone.
No. No!
Yakov Alpatych.
Well, John, we buried His Excellency today.
I know.
Once upon a time, not a peasant would have stayed away. Not a peasant would have been dry-eyed. He was the last of old Russia. Funny how soon people forget. Prince Andre freed you all from the land. Built a school here and a hospital. Do I have to remind you how most of the serfs in this country live? What's the matter, Dron?
Nothing.
What's wrong, then?
Nothing's wrong.
Who is it?
It's I, Amelie. Did I wake you?
No. I've been trying to sleep, but I can't. What time is it?
It's nearly 4 o'clock. I didn't want to trouble you, Princess, but they say a village has been pillaged by French troops not a dozen miles away.
Where is Alpartich?
He's gone. I think he's gone to look for the police. But I've been out walking. There are no police.
Why is he looking for the police?
He's worried. He thinks the village people are no longer friendly to us.
Oh, Amelie, I can't think of this now. What does it matter?
Dear Princess, I understand how you feel. I know you cannot think for yourself. But I must try to think for you. You know, chère Marie, we are not safe. It may even be dangerous to move now.
Why?
We could be taken prisoner on the road. Think what that could mean. Enemy soldiers are not the gentlest of people.
Speak to Alpartich when he comes back.
Chère Marie, do you think he will come back?
What do you mean?
He's got his own family to think of.
Don't be absurd.
But, Princess, this situation is very grave. I don't think you realize how bad it is. Look, I found this in one of the villages. It's a proclamation issued by the French. It's signed by General Rameau. It tells people not to leave their homes and that the French will give them all proper protection. I think the best thing would be to appeal to this general. I'm sure he'd show you all due respect.
What are you saying? Are you mad? Appeal to a French general? Tigon! Tigon! I would rather die than live under the protection of the French.
I'm sorry, Princess.
Go at once to the village and tell John I must see him. Go quickly. We must leave as soon as possible.
Yes, Princess.
Go and pack your things.
Yes, Princess, of course.
Princess? Princess? I brought Dron to see you.
Tell him to come in.
Dron, will you go in?
Dron. Dear Dron. Since our sad loss,
We're all in God's hands.
Dron, Alpartich has gone off somewhere. I've no one to turn to. Is it true I can't even get away?
Of course not. Why shouldn't you get away?
I've been told it's dangerous. The French are very near. Dear friend, I've no one to turn to, and it's difficult for me to think at this time. I want to leave, without fail, tonight or early tomorrow morning.
There are no horses. Well, I told Yakov Alpartich.
But how is that?
Visitation of the Lord. What horses we had have been taken for the army, or else they died. Not a case of feeding horses. We could die of hunger ourselves. As it is, some have had nothing to eat for 3 days. It's no use talking about horses and carts when people are hungry.
But why didn't you tell me? I could have helped. I'm sure my brother has grain, hasn't he?
Well, the master's grain's not been touched. He left no orders about selling it.
Give it to them, then. Let them have what they need. Good heavens, John, when have you known my family leave you to starve when we have grain of our own in the barn? Give them the grain. I authorize it. Tell them what is ours is theirs. We grudge them nothing. What's the matter, John? What is it?
Discharge me, ma'am. For God's sake, take the keys. I don't want to be village elder anymore.
John, when we were children, you used to bring my brother and me special gingerbread each year from the fair at Vyazma. You carved wooden dolls for me and carried Prince Andrei on your back all over the estate. We've always looked on you as our friend. Tell me what is happening.
I wish to God those days had never gone.
John, you know I'll do anything for you and the peasants on the estate. Tell them they must help us leave tonight.
I'll tell them.
Nothing. They'll never stand and fight.
I don't agree. They'll have to.
You expected to see the whole Russian army drawn up on that plain. And where are they? They burn everything and retire.
Well, you cannot win a war by continual retreat.
You cannot win it, but you can fight it, and by God, that's what they're doing. Burn and retreat. My cavalry can scarcely keep contact with them.
They'll make a stand. Now that Kutuzov has been given the command, they'll make a stand.
In the name of God, where?
Kutuzov is regrouping around Borodino. It seems a likely place.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I agree with Davout. It is inconceivable they would allow us to go clear through to Moscow. Once we're in Moscow, the war is over. Alexander knows that as well as I do.
He's not as clever as we are. He may not.
Then someone will have to tell him. And I do not take kindly, Prince Murat, your complaining tone. If you want to fight Russians, chase them.
I've not been slow to do that, sire. But we've left a third of our men in field hospitals and we've still not fought a single pitched battle. I mean, how many more must we lose before we even begin to fight?
What alternative do you suggest?
Well, it's my belief we're going too fast. We cannot keep the army supplied at this rate.
But how can we halt?
We can close the campaign. We can quarter the army around Smolensk for the winter, bring up supplies, and wait till spring.
Smolensk! Smolensk is a ruin. Do you think I have a mind to sleep in the streets for 6 months? Nor have I come all this way to conquer a parcel of wretched huts.
I question the advisability of penetrating further into Russia at this late season of the year.
I tell you, Prince, there is no alternative. Even if there were, I would not accept it. Do you think all Europe would not know that we had run ourselves into the ground?
What matters what Europe thinks? They'll think the more of us with an army intact than one that's fallen to pieces.
There's no risk of that.
There is every risk of it. An army marches on its stomach. My God. If we've learned anything in the last 15 years, we've learned that. The campaign is not half over, and already they're living from hand to mouth.
We cannot stop now.
But why not? I don't see it.
For the very reasons you mentioned. If the country behind is exhausted, then the country in front is not. And that's every reason for going on. If the army is showing signs of breaking up, then the risk is greater if we stop than if we continue.
But a halt might pull it together.
No, Marshal Ney. It will not. Motion will keep it together. We're an army of attack, not defense. An army of operation, not position. We must go on to Moscow.
Moscow? Moscow? You see nothing but Moscow!
I see peace in Moscow. And supplies.
And I see nothing but the ruin of the army.
That is all you have seen since we began.
No, sire, it is not. That is less than just.
No, it is not less than just. You've lost your zeal for campaigning. That's what it amounts to. I've noticed it more and more among my generals. An apathy that spreads like an infection. A disinclination to put their boots on in the morning. I've enriched you all too much. That's the trouble. All you want now are the pleasures of the chase and strolling down the streets of Paris in your peacock feathers. You've grown disgusted with war. But let me tell you, Prince, you're not old enough to retire, nor will ever be. None of you will. You were born in bivouacs, and in bivouacs you'll die.
What's this place called? Hey, you, I'm talking to you! I said, what's this place called?
Bogacharovo.
You got any hay in the village or oats?
No.
You're lying! Where's the manor?
I've been everywhere, looking for the police, the army, anything. There's no one.
I told John to order the carts and carriages.
He won't get them. I found a horse and cart, tried to harness it together. Carp and one or two others came up and drove it off. They're in an ugly mood.
But why?
I don't know. We must get away from here. Princess, please, take anything you can carry, but go now, I'm afraid.
Afraid of what?
They may try and keep us here. They're coming in. Forgive me, Princess. I must go to my family.
You've no right. You've no right to...
What is the meaning of this? Why have you come here? John, what does this mean? Well, since you're all here, I'm glad you've come. Clearly, John hasn't told you what I said. I understand the war has ruined you. That is our common misfortune. But I shall grudge nothing to help you. I'm going away, but I've told John to share out the grain among you. Has he done that?
We're not sharing out any grain.
But why? The grain is there. Prince Andrei would want you to have it.
Yes, you'd like that. Give us the grain and then leave us here to the French.
You're talking nonsense, Carp. I advise you to leave before you get yourself into real trouble.
Don't you understand? We want you to come with us. We'll look after you all on the estate near Moscow. John, please ask them to leave. Take them to the granary and give them the grain.
We don't want the grain.
But why not?
Wouldn't be right to take the master's grain.
Then find horses and carts and let us all leave.
We're not going to leave. We're staying here.
But I promise you new homes.
We're free. We pay quick rents. We're not tied to the land.
I know that. My brother freed you.
And maybe you want us to be slaves again.
I don't understand you.
Maybe and maybe not, but who's to say? Moscow. What's Moscow to us? Oh, you'll get us there, but we'll never get back.
John, explain to them.
He's explained enough. Well, he's not the elder anymore. He's given up the keys.
Is that true?
He's doing the talking.
Yes, you've filled your belly long enough. If you leave here, you dig up your pot of money and it goes with you, but us, we leave everything here for the French to burn and plunder.
But how can you think of staying here?
We've got leaflets from the French. They say if we stay where we are, they won't harm us.
And you believe that?
But shouldn't we? It says in the leaflets that there are no serfs in France, that everyone is free.
But you're all free by my brother's generosity. And this is how you repay him.
We're free now. But who's to say if we leave? The French will burn the houses and the barns, and then we'll have nothing to come back to. We'll have no ground anymore.
But I promise you that will not happen.
We won't let it happen. We're staying here.
Then you may do as you please. But I intend to go. John, find a horse and a carriage so that we may leave. John! Alpatych, find a horse and a carriage.
Now, come on, make way.
Now, you're staying here. All of us are staying.
You wouldn't dare hold me here. I'm going out of this room. Don't you dare try and stop me. Stand aside.
You can go outside. But our people are in the grounds. They won't let you leave.
Ma! What on earth's happening?
I'm trying to get away and they won't let me.
Who won't let you?
The peasants on the estate. They've refused me horses and now they won't let me leave. They're in the house and...
Ma, after you.
But...
Don't worry.
Who's the elder here? Who's the elder?
What do you want?
I want answers, not questions! Take your hats off. How dare you come in here with your hats on? Did you invite them, man? Come in uninvited, eh? That's trespassing, do you know that? Do you know what could happen to you for that?
Well, we only want...
Shut up! Speak when you're spoken to. Come here. You! Take this rope off his trousers. Bind his hands and throw him in the barn. Who's the village elder here?
I'm sorry.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Time up, too.
Oh, no, wait, please. It wasn't his fault. They're all so confused.
I'll confuse them. I want a dozen horses and carts and 2 carriages as quick as light, do you understand? Or I'll have a troop of cavalry here before you can blink. Now! Get to it! The lot of you!
I don't know how to thank you.
Oh, it was nothing, Ma'am. We only had peasants to fight. The war would soon be over.
Are you stationed near here? I didn't think there were any of our people nearby.
No, Ma'am. I was out looking for forage for the horses. Have you got any here?
There's grain in the barn.
Good, well, I'll take that then.
But I promised it to them.
I wouldn't give them a thing.
But they're hungry and they've lost so much.
Ma'am, we can't fight wars without horses. All right. I'll look elsewhere.
You're very kind. To whom do I have the honor?
Count Rostov, Ma'am, at your service. Ma'am?
Count Rostov?
Yes.
Of Moscow?
Yes. I'm sure we've never met. I most certainly would have remembered.
Do you know to whom this house belongs?
You, Ma'am?
To my brother, Prince Andrei Bolkonsky. Your sister was betrothed to my brother.
Yes.
The engagement was broken off.
I think that they decided that they weren't suited.
Yes. I met your sister in Moscow.
Really? I didn't know that. Then you were friends?
To be honest, we didn't get on.
With Natasha? I find that very hard to believe.
It was my fault, I'm sure of that.
Well, no, she can be a little uppish now and then.
No, it was my fault.
As a matter of fact, I met your brother, too, several years ago during the last war.
It's strange to think that we were connected and never met. And then to meet like this.
Well, I won't intrude anymore.
Oh, but you're not at all.
I'll escort you as far as the road.
Won't you have something to eat first?
No, Ma'am. I'd much rather you prepared to leave now. You never told me your name. Except, of course, now. I remember it's Maria.
And yours is Nikolai.
Please hurry. I'll wait by the road to see that you leave safely. You'll be all right from here.
I can never thank you enough.
Maybe we... Good luck.